A very warm welcome, Tajudeena. And I really appreciate you taking out your time for this campaign of Goodera. And we are celebrating Black History Month. And hence, we wanted to connect with your nonprofit organization because we have been following your nonprofit organization and your work, and we really appreciate what you have been doing. Uh, but I would like here to understand from you as well. So, just quickly introduce yourself, introduce your organization, however you want. The stage is all yours.
Okay, great. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank God for who's the head of my life and just being able to help put it in my spirit to form Totally Positive Productions. And thank you, Mr. President, for having me here in your organization for this interview. Greatly appreciate it. My name is Tajudeena Jones. I go to the general public by Taj Jones. I'm the founder and executive director of Totally Positive Productions. We're a non-for-profit organization that was founded in August of 1993. So we've been in existence for over 28 years. And we do a variety of programs. Our mission is to produce positive rap, singing, dance, spoken word, theater, competitions, as well as produce positive off-the-street activities for youths ages 7 and up and adults as a deterrent to gang and drug activities. So that entails of after-school weekend programs. We do free culture enrichment trips, service learning projects, entertainment workshops, crime prevention, service learning projects, and we also have a relationship with the court systems and schools and youth and those that need community service hours working with a non-for-profit organization. We provide that. We also have a youth and adult employment and training program, and then we provide internship opportunities.
Amazing. I think there is a vast list that you have, and you are actually doing a great job. You are preserving the culture, and through these kind of arts that you are promoting through your organization. I think this is really amazing. Now I would like to get on to the current topic that we are discussing, the Black History Month. What
Yes.
I would like to understand from you, who has someone who has been on the ground, has seen all the challenges faced by the community. So I would like to understand from you the relevance of this Black History Month and why do we exactly celebrate this?
Okay, we celebrate Black History Month, especially when I research this. It's celebrated in the month of February in the United States and Canada. And then it's celebrated in other months, I believe in October in a few other countries, to celebrate the significance of African-American individuals that have made positive and impactful impacts to the United States and to the world in general, in the US and abroad. I think in what I've worked with, because we deal with a lot of disadvantaged youth as well as families. In my opinion, it's not enough that's promoted for that, because other than being outside of school, or if they hear from a non-for-profit organization such as ours, they're not going to, unless they watch TV or it's not promoted like it should be to get a greater knowledge, because there's so much negativity that's out there, Mr. Pravin, out here that it overshadows. There's a lot of families and youth that's lost to the street. So they don't value some of the things that you would think that would be educational and beneficial, something that would be impactful for them to look forward to. So that's something that's pretty challenging. It's getting that across all mediums, social media, especially on local television, which, pretty much is dominated by a lot of negative issues and things that's, impactful, and a lot of, political and a lot of, rallies and things that's been going on that's been really overshadowing the positivity of programs, but also the educational component of Black history, or letting the masses know, especially in low-income disadvantaged communities, the impact that African Americans have made throughout the history of the United States and abroad.
I completely agree with you, Taj, on that. And since you said that we celebrate this month to educate our society, about the culture, about the history of Black people, and their inclusivity and their participation in everything that has been in the country so far. So
Yes.
I would like to understand, in fact, I would like you to highlight some of those myths and misconceptions that the society has for the Black people in their minds, that needs to be removed from their minds to make them more educated. So some myths, some misconceptions, some prejudices that the society might have for the Black people. I want you to take this opportunity to bust all of them.
Well, I mean, first of all, it starts with the individual. In this life, you're aware of there's a spirit of good and evil. So if someone is prejudiced, if someone don't like someone because of their ethnicity, their culture, or just don't want to listen, that's something that we just have to pray to God for, that to be open, so they can be open to realize it. But the misconception that, all Black people are bad, or especially African American men, there's no good, all those are myths or things that's out there, because it's like I say, that's what they promote on television. That's what promotes mostly in the news. That's what's taken, even when it comes to music. I mean, one of the things that when I first started was the P-rap concept, which is a national trademark of mine. So it's the acronym for positive rap. That's rap with no cursing or sexually explicit language. We've had shows when we first started where the theme was education. So you would hear all the raps that was about education, clean and no cursing, no sexually explicit language. Now that they didn't want to promote to the masses, because you know why? That was the clean version that deals with rap. So that should have been taken off. But like I say, the society rather promote negativity, that aspect, because people buy it. People appreciate it, even though it's not good to the masses, but that's what they see and hear. And one thing I've learned over time, most of the homes got cursing. They're either in gangs, they're in drugs, and that's a hard fact reality. But the key is having organizations, and I thank you for having me here to help promote it or get it out there, to show, hey, there's some Black organizations, there are some non-for-profit organizations that have helped channel youth and adults to graduate, to finish school, to be impactful citizens in the United States. But we haven't got that opportunity to get out there, because remember, people base their judgments on what they see and what they hear. So if someone's just watching the news, which is all negative, and they see, African Americans on there all the time, that's a mindset. Versus if they start showing, positive programs in the neighborhoods that's been doing something, or featuring organizations like us, then they would say, hey, there's some opportunities I could look. See, we impacted, but not to the masses. So that's where the gap is, because there are some non-for-profit organizations, in addition to TPP, Totally Positive Productions in Chicago, that has really been in the ground roots, that really connect. But as far as funding and the marketing, the media to help get the national attention or reach the masses in the city and outside the city, is really limited. Because remember, people make money because of bad situations. Parole officers, right? Social workers that work for delinquent children and stuff. They have to make a living. And that's a reality that I had to find out some years ago, that it is like a battle, but God is in the plan. I appreciate you having me here, and we hopefully could build awareness where we could get more funding that allows us to do more social media, more commercials that could get the word out, because that's what is really needed. Promotions of positive organizations and individuals, so youth and adults that's in disadvantage and low income can see, hey, there is something going on that's positive, and I have something to look forward to.
Absolutely, Taj. And I think the promotion part gets covered with this interview campaign itself, and we'll be promoting that on our social media. Also, I really appreciate the way you see the issue. Like, you have a direct approach to understand the root of the cause. The root
Yes.
everything that is happening. And I really appreciate that, because at times we address the issue on the surface level, but we do not go in the depth of that particular issue. So I appreciate that you talked about that root. And in fact, my next question would have been that what is actually the root, but I think you very well answered, and it was a very well structured reply for my entire question. And now I'm more intrigued about your organization as well. Like, you have told that what your organization does, but I would like to understand from you that how does totally positive productions impact the Black people, impact their beneficiaries living in the society, and how does it empower them?
Okay, well, that goes with the several programs that we can focus on. Like I said, when we first started, one thing that I want to share a story that I thought that God was with me and the path that was going. When we first started, it was strictly talent competitions. And we would have monthly talent competitions, but it was educational, meaning that we had rap, singing, and dance. First of all, there was no cursing or no sexual explicit language. That was the rule number one, because we're in the environment of society where there's a lot of cursing, a lot of sexual explicit. So when they came, any performers that came to audition and was selected, that was the criteria. So some that would come that's untrained or uninhibited would come in auditions and they would curse. We would stop them at audition. No, we don't allow that. Or you would not be put on the show, you would not be put on the stage. So we was able to control that. We had a couple of talent shows last year where the theme was God is love, and then the second one was love. See, the theme. So getting people to be creative and all that. So it was one time we had, his name was Miggity Mike. And we did 9 talent competitions when we first started in a row. So that was amazing. With limited funding, out of my pocket, and was able to do that. So it was this one gentleman, he kept coming to the auditions, but he was not talented enough to make it to the stage. So he would come month after month. And then by the 4th month, because if somebody, one thing I measure success or what we're doing, they keep coming back, right? If it's boring or they don't find interest, they don't come back. So that's just an observation on that. So he kept coming, and the 4th month, I said, you know what? Since I know he's been going and been making some sort of improvements, I will allow him to be one of the contestants on the stage, the main stage, and participate. And after it was, he didn't place, but at least he made it to get, familiar with, being on stage in public performance. So what happened was, after the event was over with, someone tapped me it was outside the facility, and someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Are you Mr. Jones?" I was like, "Yes." And it turned out to be his dad. He said, "I would like to thank you." It was his dad, and then it was his other brother that was next to the dad. He touched me on the shoulder. At first, normally when that happens, you think, "Uh-oh, what happened? What did I do? What went wrong?" But he said, "I would like to thank you." And I was like, I said, "Thank me for what?" I said, "Oh, no problem." He said, "First of all, when my son first come to your organization, he was cursing, the rap was all discriminatory towards women and everything." He said, since he's been coming over these past months, he threw all his lyrics and the papers that he had, he threw them away and started writing positive, uplifting raps. And it was his dad who said, and his brother right there shook his head. He said, "Yes, we as a family would like to thank you because you made a positive impact in our child's life." And to me, that was touching. That's what I wanted to see, because we can help individuals in the medium, but getting it out there and being consistent. Because one thing about it is, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If we're going to try to put out something, we're going to try to dictate. We don't let the environment, yes, we want big numbers, but we have to set a structure for our community, for individuals to learn. There's structural problem of talking right, speaking right, performing right. Yes, it may not be popular, but hey, with the proper training, you can be able to get into events or shows or even television or different other mediums and have a working relationship. even when we've done our service learning projects, where, for example, we have our community works crime prevention programs. We teach the crime prevention tips and strategies. But how I do that, I start off with reading, because reading is important. I've learned and I've seen that even some of the young adults or kids that's been in the system, and it was sad, couldn't even read. So the importance of creating an environment where it's enjoyable, youth among themselves, the bad youth and the good youth can communicate, talk about issues, and then have an adult present to join in where they don't feel like it's one-sided, really makes an impactful ordeal. And then when it comes to our culture enrichment trips, I've been getting a lot of enjoyment, and that has been picking up even since we've had the pandemic, and it was kind of amazing. The numbers have gone, but there are a lot of youth and parents that's in low income haven't really gone downtown or either in areas or participated in cultural things. For example, to the Brookfield Zoo, we go to medieval times. The last couple of years, we went to the Chicago architectural boat tour. Because of the COVID, we had to mix it up, outdoor events and stuff with the masses. But the way we do it is different, because we provide limo transportation, free admissions. We have partnerships with restaurants where they eat. And then we also prepare gift bags or care bags and give it to each youth or adults that participate in our program. So we take it a step further. We also do hunger relief, because whether with our service learning projects, I found out over the years, a lot of the youth that participate, like after school, their only meal may have come in school. So when we was conducting training, I would hear their stomach growling and stuff. So it was important that, hey, we want to make sure that we feed them during those hours that we're TPP, whether it's cultural enrichment trips or something. That's just something to help uplift, to help provide a sense of, hey, there's more to life than just, school and just being in the house. And you can venture out and experience life a little bit more. And I'm glad that Totally Positive Productions over the years have been able to provide that impact for them.
I think I really appreciate that, the way you bring an internal transformation in the people that your organization is associated with. That is really commendable, because like I said earlier as well, there are a lot of organizations and a lot of them try to address the issue from the surface level. That is providing some kind of external support that is very, very temporary. So that can particularly solve that issue for some point, for some time maybe. But I think internal change, the change inside the person, in the mentality of that person, that brings a complete new perspective and complete new world of opportunities for them.
Yes.
So I think that is really, really appreciating about your organization. So I think that's really amazing. And here I would like to, because when you were talking about these shows that you did, so I assume that a lot of them would include external events, physical presence, physical interaction.
Yes.
And that when the COVID pandemic hit us in the year 2019, that must have got a big hit, how your organization operates and interacts with your beneficiary. So I would like to understand from you the challenges that you faced during that COVID pandemic. And
well, it was,
and how did you overcome that, basically? So just the complete scenario of how you tackled with all those challenges that COVID brought.
And that's a good point that you brought, because if I get a chance to think back, even the life issues of the pandemic, I still have to thank God for still allowing us to still maneuver. Yes, a lot of our programs, which was picking up at that time as far as our numbers of doing service learning projects, we were starting to get into the schools and having that relationship with the numbers. But with the shift, because of where we at, the mayor put restrictions, the governor put restrictions on that. It was kind of, at first you can only have so many people. It was a lot of restrictions. So in that, we still was able to focus on some of the programs. We were still able to hire a couple of youths to do, because the numbers had to be small, so we were still able to do our youth employment and training program where we had youths come and work, help out the organization. And then we was able to still do some service learning projects, so in smaller numbers. But what picked up was the shift in, like I say, our culture enrichment trip. Like in 2019, especially 2020, we directly impacted over 120 participants just in that cultural enrichment trip component, which we did 6 individual trips. Like I say, because of the pandemic, indoors had restrictions, so we focused our attention on outdoor activities and the cultural enrichment. Then we would have a few of the service learning because of numbers. And then last year, we ventured out with a partnership with the organizations. We're still following the guidelines of what can be done as far as the talent competitions, just as a filler, because right now there's still a lot of hesitancy, what can be done and all that. But also we focused some of our attention on social media. We was able to focus on our crime prevention tips and strategy components. We was able to add that to all our social media accounts as far as a crime prevention component, where we start educating the masses now through the social media. We'll put some of those tips and strategies, the brochures. Also in our community outreach has picked up as far as the distribution of our crime prevention brochures that was created by youths. We got a youth version and an adult version. But the importance of trying to get that paper into young people and adults to at least help them, hopefully they can read and get some of those tips and strategies that should help bring down some of the violence as much as possible. But then again, the challenges is us getting funding so we can do more. So we could do more, we could reach more, getting into the schools. But now we was trying to make that step, but then COVID hit into the schools where some of the students got the COVID, some of the teachers passed, so they shutting things down. So, it's still kind of tackling, but we're still making impacts with the help of God.
Wow, I think the approach you took, the way you tackled all those challenges, that was really commendable. And I think there is a very, very important role that society plays, right?
Yes.
In any non-profit organization, and more than the society, those people who get directly involved with the cause area and the non-profit. So we call them volunteers, obviously.
Yes.
And I have connected with a lot of non-profits across a lot of cause areas, and all of them have unanimously said that the biggest and most important stakeholder in a non-profit organization are its volunteers, not its beneficiaries, not its founders, not its donors, but its volunteers. Why? Because a founder, a CEO, and the donors alone cannot solve the problem. It needs the volunteers, the people with right intent at their heart, to come up and support the cause, support the people of the community, of the society, create an awareness, cause a ripple effect in the society. And that's how volunteers contribute to a non-profit's cause and a particular issue. So I would like to understand from you as well.
Yes, and that's a good point when you said mention for volunteers. Me, like I said, I'm gonna throw a different angle of where I come from. Okay. Because remember, the name is Totally Positive Productions. Yeah. Grasp that. Yeah. That's why I say I thank God for putting it in me, because you know what, especially coming from African Americans and low income, some of them can't say good morning or good afternoon or even smile. See, I can smile. I'm happy. That characteristics is little or none. If I'm part of the streets, I want to be mad. I want to talk about you. I'm carrying a gun. I'm trying to find things. I'm not going to come to you. That's why it's important that through the years, the educational part was being able to show, not just say it, but doing it, being that example, because there's not a lot of positivity. What did I say before? With the media promotes negativity. That's the characteristics that you see and you hear. So the key is, especially coming from an African-American male, which first thing that may come in somebody's mind is negative than positive, is to know, hey, I'm good, I'm nice. I care for people. It may seem like not a big deal, but it is. Because what? Out of 100%, 76% of how you communicate is nonverbal. How you look. 24% is what you say, right? So one thing I like about us being on that, yes, volunteers, but you may have a volunteer that's not in the right spirit. Or yes, I've seen it. I've had come to the table, meet with them. Yeah, I want to help the cause. Yes, I want to do this. But they within themselves was not right. See, that's why I keep saying with totally positive, it's almost like a safe spiritual guard, because not people, it can't really say that they're happy or they enjoy themselves. Saying it and then let alone doing it is two different things. See, that's why I thank God for being the founder executive director. The numbers maybe as far as staff and putting the right people in, but we have affected change.